Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Lindsey series. This is the biggest district in Lincolnshire, containing 188 civil parishes. Without further ado, here's today's offering. Welcome back to East Lindsey once again, folks, and to another market village. Would you believe that a place this small once had a market? Well, it did back in the day. It was also a very important village during wartime, and I'll tell you a bit more about that as we walk around this circular route. Would you believe it's not linear, this one? Welcome to the parish of Market Stainton. The East Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road, Gainsborough, or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Market Stainton, Stone Rock Market. This week in East Lindsey, we're tackling a place you perhaps wouldn't know was so important to the British Armed Forces. This is Market Stainton, a quiet village on the Lincolnshire Wolds with just 35 people living within it. It's not far from the B1225, the Roman road known as High Street, which cuts across the Wolds as it makes its way between Horncastle and Caistor. Industrially, it's a typical farming village like the others that are close by, but this one is also where one of the country's leading barley suppliers is based, helping to keep the nation's pubs, restaurants and bars supplied with beer. The name Market Stainton means there was indeed a market here once upon a time. That's a crazy thing to think about, given how tiny the place is. Its recent past has been defined by its connections to the RAF. It was here where bombs were stored during World War II before being distributed across the country via road and rail. There are very few clues as to its wartime past now, but soon it's hoped a permanent memorial will be added in remembrance of a wartime plane crash. In terms of features, there's a green, a pump, a 19th century hall, and a redundant church very much unlike any other we've ever come across. It might even have had a prisoner of war camp as well. Let's walk around and check it all out. We start at a business called Syngenta, an important one if you like a drink or two. Syngenta breed malting barley. Over the last 15 years, barley from here has accounted for more than 650,000 tonnes of nationwide seed sales and has produced over 1.6 billion pints of beer. That's a lot of grog. We head downhill slightly now towards a ruined building that caught fire a few years ago. It was once connected with the RAF, and a little later I'll explain how. The grass verges around the village were also once connected with them too. If that sounds intriguing, keep watching. If you look to your left here, you get the first view of Market Stainton Hall. We'll discuss that in more detail at the end. Next for us though, we're taking a footpath off the lane which will transport us to a picturesque village green momentarily. This path is a bit of a hidden gem. It's not all that long, but in this 300 or 400 metres or so you do get some of the best views on offer anywhere in Market Stainton. I only wish the sun had been out a little bit more, because the vista before me was absolutely gorgeous. This was where I was standing for March 20th's edition of Guess Where I Am. Remember that? It's not the same if you look the other way, but this area is apparently historically important. Within this copse are the remains of a prisoner of war camp, that's according to a local who I spoke to a few moments earlier. I found nothing to back his claim up, but he told me it housed Italians during World War II. Whether or not Market Stainton camp existed, I resisted the urge to explore the copse any further and decided to move on towards the green. The path takes a sharp right turn, and within mere moments, this is the view you're treated to. This felt like a little slice of rural heavenliness. Market Stainton has no amenities, no pub, no shop or post office. I suspect there may have been a pub on this green at some point in the past, but there certainly isn't now. However, there is an old phone box if nothing else, but that's now empty. If you step onto the green itself, you'll find the village pump and an accompanying stone trough underneath. The manufacturer of the pump is unknown, but the barrel is marked with an alphanumeric clue, HP 75. I wonder what that could mean. Let's wander across the green to the other side now, in the direction of a farm. The green is presumably where the market was held. Anciently, this village had a weekly market and a yearly fair. The former has long since been lost, and the latter was sold for £200 and removed to Horncastle in 1768. According to historical records, the village was first described as Market Stainton in 1286, but it's believed the charter for the market's existence was issued 5 years earlier in 1281. It's really hard to believe that Market Stainton was important enough to hold a market. You'd have to think that it was probably a lot larger than this in past times in order to sustain it. Market Stainton's church is dedicated to St Michael, but this is no longer in use and was made redundant by the Diocese of Lincoln. It dates from the 13th century and it's a Grade 2 listed building. It's made of greenstone, limestone and red brick. This was in a sorry state until recently. It was decaying badly and was seemingly left to rot. However, now that's not the case. The church has been restored again, and even though there are no services, people do come here regularly. It's been turned by its owners into the most unique Airbnb ever. It can cater for up to 4 guests. Of course, the churchyard remains open to the public, hence why walking through the churchyard was no issue. Market Stainton has no war memorial, but one is being planned, and here's why. On December the 16th, 1943, which is known as Black Thursday in RAF circles, a Lancaster bomber crashed at Market Stainton. The plane, damaged over Berlin, tried in vain for 45 minutes to land at RAF Binbrook. It eventually crashed in the village, resulting in the deaths of all 7 crew. If all goes to plan, a plaque will be installed on the green by the end of June 2024, and rightly so, I might add. Next, we go up a little lane that runs alongside Market Stainton Hall. This is a dead end and leads to nothing more than just a farm and a cluster of houses. One of them is the Grange, a beautiful 19th century house with an attached farm and courtyard to the rear. It's the second largest property in Market Stainton after the Hall, or third if you include the now revamped church. It was last valued at £485,000 back in 2019. It does seem that living in this part of Lincolnshire requires a bit of money. However, having a grand property doesn't always mean you have a vast wealth. Market Stainton Hall is a 19th century Grade 2 listed country house. In 1861, Elizabeth Robson lived here with her 2 sons, Charles and Christopher, both of whom were farmers. They didn't make a vast fortune from farming. Indeed, Charles died in 1863 with his estate only worth a meagre £800. And after passing the main gates, we'll find ourselves back at the copse opposite Syngenta, where the prisoner of war camp supposedly was. Now, the camp may or may not have existed, but one thing that definitely did was an ammunition storage depot. Here's a bit more about it. Although small, this village has a huge piece of wartime history. From 1943 until 1948, RAF Market Stainton was in operation here as an ammunition storage depot. Together with RAF South Witham and RAF Norton Disney, Market Stainton was responsible for supplying bombs, ammunition and oxygen to the many flying stations around Lincolnshire. To go with it, there was also a satellite storage site at RAF Orby within the West Lindsey Parish of Walesby. The depot had some 60 miles worth of storage available to it. This was made possible thanks to the humble grass verge. Bombs were stored along the grass verges of the main road to the east of the village, which was blocked off from both ends. The operation required transport. Consequently, there was a railhead created at Brocklesby, and the precious cargo was carried to and from the railway station by lorry. Today, a single hut is all that remains of this once busy site, and this building is the one that we mentioned earlier that caught fire a few years ago. This was one of the storage units. And with that, we make our exit from Market Stainton towards another tiny village in East Lindsey. The next one is on the other side of the Roman Road High Street and not on the Wolds. However, it's still a pretty little place and surprisingly has quite the repertoire of features for a place so small. See you there in 7 days' time. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.